This is the Blooming Psyche Podcast. Grab a seat and join us as we navigate life our own way.
Now let's begin blooming our psyche. Hello.
Hello.
We are continuing the last podcast that we had where we had 5 questions, and we're going to do 6 to 10. So, first question being, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
God damn.
That is a fucking good question.
That is a great question.
Because that is so loaded, because there's so many things that you could tell yourself, but it would change the future.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you change if you could change something?
I would immediately have myself understand the value that games don't give you. I would have myself step away from that and focus on things more like physical fitness or anything else that would actually benefit my vessel, my me, instead of my dopamine seeking brain.
Okay.
And because that was a piece that hampered my learning, that was a piece that was a thing that just that didn't fit in, like it fit very much in my lifestyle back then. But if I could have stopped that way earlier and maybe put more effort into sports or anything else, I feel like I would be a happier person to this day, because I would have been able to practice maybe a more disciplined aspect of myself in a young age and been able to go through the trial by fire and the trial and error that would have built that discipline into a solid rock foundation to now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's ideal, because I would reckon that would coincide with like martial arts or like something like that gives you that base.
Yep.
However, I do think that there's a lot of benefits to the games. The only problem is like you mentioned, just like the dopamine that you get from it is so high that everything else seems more meaningless, right? Like, it's like, okay, well, if I don't have any obligations, why would I go and do something that's like strangely difficult that I don't really see the reward on the other side when I can just play some video games, have a blast, except for my time evaporates.
Yeah, exactly.
It is gone.
Yeah, exactly. Like the video games, they are great for specific things. Like I have great hand-eye coordination. I have, there's all that. There are benefits, but there are things that I lack due to the fact that it wasn't practiced in a young age. And I would have guided myself in that direction to practice those things. Yeah. Like jiu-jitsu, if I could put into my brain at a young age how much I like jiu-jitsu now, I'd already be a black belt by now.
Yeah.
Right? I would have been in love with that sport, but I never got the opportunity to do it at a young age. So maybe that would have been what I would have done. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's
focus on a certain discipline.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Focus on a certain discipline.
Push myself in a direction that I would have liked to see myself at now if I could go back.
Yeah.
And change that part of myself.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me ask myself this question, or you can ask me this question.
Yes. So, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
Okay. If I could go back in time, what would I give advice to myself? Well, when I think is important, because there's certain points where it's like, okay, you don't really have much control over what's happening. You're just kind of along for a ride. But if I could give myself some advice, it's don't take shit so fucking seriously. Because as a kid, you think at any turn the world's going to end if you make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get judged for what you're doing. And I remember as a kid, I was paralyzed, man. Paralyzed by the thought that I couldn't do something perfectly the first time, which is a cataclysm. Yeah. Like you can't do anything if that's the case. And that is what was the case. I couldn't do fucking anything because in my mind, I was thinking, okay, this is a new spontaneous thing that I've never done before. However, if I were to think about it in my head and say, okay, can I do this thing? And it would be no to any degree, I wouldn't do it. Which is terrible. Yeah, totally. That included speaking. That included doing anything out of my own choice, because it just became like all of my thoughts were like grounded to zero,
Right.
because I was too slow on the uptake about that kind of philosophy, where it's like, okay, well, everyone's going to fuck up, so you might as well just accept it and learn from it rather than be scared of fucking up, and then you never try.
Totally.
And that was like my kryptonite for a very long time.
Yeah, until you learn that fuck ups are where you learn the most about yourself and about how to get better at something. You know, it's the most terrifying thing in the world. You know, fucking up in conversations, fucking up when you try to ask somebody out on a date or whatever, right? Like all those kinds of things, they're terrifying when you haven't had a significant amount of failure under your belt, right? Why do you think when you just get into a sport, you can look at somebody else and you can be like, that person is amazing and I want to be that good. But then you try to kick the soccer ball and you kick it 3 feet and you miss the ball or you slip or something.
Yeah.
And then you get frustrated. Well, instead of getting frustrated, if you can just be like, I suck. What did I do wrong? Maybe I should try doing this differently, or maybe I should look at what that person did and then try to emulate it. And then you learn through failure instead of get frustrated by failure. Because when you get frustrated by failure, you're essentially just going in one ear out the other, and you aren't actually absorbing anything.
Yeah, and it almost made me think that, like, let's say you failed at something, and it would be like, okay, well, let's say this isn't for me then. Rather than like trying a second time or third time or something, you just like cast your own talent out the window.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is a lot of people do that before they even get to the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that way before they even start doing it. And then they start doing it, and then 10 minutes in, they suck because they placeboed themselves into thinking that it's not for them. And then from there, they go, well, it's been 10 minutes and I still suck at this thing. It's not for me. I'm out of here. I'm going to go back to doing whatever I'm doing.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I just said that I would change about myself, because I would, in my head, think that, oh, well, I guess I can't do this before I tried, because I couldn't even like emulate it in my head. Like I couldn't like play it over and be like, oh yeah, this is what I would do. So if I didn't have that like at hand, then I wouldn't do. And I wouldn't even attempt to like, I don't know, like improvise. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if I didn't have it already, something that I kind of knew about it, it was like, yeah, well, I guess I'm just not doing this then.
Totally.
So it's like, yeah, total shackle.
Awesome. Okay.
I'll ask you
let's go the next one. Number 7.
What does a perfect day look like to you? Very simple.
A perfect day. Simple, but not. I would say not so simple.
It's not simple.
Honestly, because to me, the perfect day looks like when I choose that I want to wake up the night before, I'm going to get up at that time. And I am going to I'm going to go ahead and go through with what I choose to do, which would be like, for example, I get into the cold plunge in the morning. I do the little workout to warm up and to kind of stretch out my body, whatever, that kind of stuff. But perfect is the word that gets me there.
If everything could go the best it could and your mind wasn't in the way.
And my mind wasn't in the way.
Your mind's not in the way.
So I'd wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I would do an epic workout first thing in the morning. I'd probably get into the cold plunge after that, because I would rather be nice and hot and work out first, and rather than freeze my muscles and then go and, like have a frozen elastic band and stretch it out. That's what my muscles feel like after getting out of the cold plunge and doing a workout. So I'd rather work out than get in the cold plunge. But that's just me. And then I would make a coffee. I'd go I would be probably in school doing my course, heading towards that direction of my life that I'm not going to yet place onto this platform. But I would be doing that schooling. We would have I'd do jujitsu. I'd probably go practice some archery and finish the day with maybe let's just say a hot chocolate and a nice movie with my fiance.
Nice. I like it. Honestly, mine looks kind of similar. Ideally, cold plunge in the morning, just to tell the bitch brain what's up. Do a really nice warm up and stretch, probably with body weight workout, like light, just kind of moving around.
Yep.
Depends the day, but likely a workout some point in that morning. Write some thought down that I would like to keep, like, you know what I mean? Like some aha idea, something that kind of pops into my head that seems relatively important. Write that down, and then carry out my daily list of stuff, which is like brush teeth, all the rest of that good stuff. It would probably involve numerous instruments, practicing, like piano and other things like that, just for fun. Probably read like an hour or two, something that you can learn from. Probably clean. Not that it's dirty or anything, but just to maintain. And then just enjoying the day, and then having whatever happens happen, and whether that's hanging out with somebody and that's a meaningful event, like really just trying to be there for the day, and then enjoy the day, and then it's a good day. Right?
Yeah.
And then being productive by whatever things that need to get done.
Yeah.
And then do those things.
Totally.
That would be an ideal day.
Wonderful. All right. I will let you start off number 8. What is something you've always wanted to learn or wish you were better at?
Always wanted to learn. I wish I was better at. Always wanted to learn. Well, I always wanted to learn an instrument, and I'm trying that. So that's good.
Is there an instrument that you wish you were better at?
I wish I was better at the piano, but I also wish I had like fucking 40 instruments in like a room that I could just like play any of them that I wanted at any point in time.
Make whatever sounds or whatever. Get some loop pedals or whatever. That'd be fun.
That would be ideal. And then be better at, which is, I mean, it's such a omnipotent skill, but just like focus.
Yeah.
As much as like I'm still pretty good at focus, if I could like raise that past maximum.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like obviously it's not real, but like if I could, I would max like my focus level, because then like everything, you'd be lasered in, right? You could be able to like think ad nauseum about something and not get worn out. However, obviously there's physical limitations, but yeah, like ideally is just being able to really parse what the fuck's happening and not get lost in your own sauce.
Yeah, for sure. And to a degree, I totally agree with that. I feel like anybody who can increase their level of focus will benefit from that. So that being the underlier of, I think what both of us would probably want to be better at, I will pick something different. I would like to learn how to learn better.
Yeah.
In a way that works for my brain.
Okay.
Because I don't think that everybody learns the same. I think many people learn differently. There's a strategy that you kind of have to find within your own brain that works for you. And yeah, I would like to learn or be better at learning and understanding of knowledge and information, and probably would like to be better at retaining information long term, for the purpose of being able to apply those to other things, so that I can say, oh, I know this thing and this thing has something to do with that thing, so that means I can use that thing to learn this thing, as if a compounding effect, right?
Yeah.
I wish I was better at that.
Absolutely. And I think that is like a really important skill to have, because it's what allows you to make what seems like a quantum leap connection. However, you understand fundamentally like different topics, for example, base up. So you're like, okay, I understand that this could work over here and this could work over here. However, when you make some interesting connections, well, you might find something new.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you can't retain sporadic, kind of seemingly erroneous information, well, then you're never going to make it something new and bigger by building the little pieces up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I have to focus very hard on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Right. So if I want to focus on or understand an erroneous piece of information, I have to focus on that erroneous piece of information.
Well, it has to be important.
Yes, but that's the thing, is there's that piece of important erroneous information, but there's also all the other things in my world that hamper that and get in the way of that and stop that thing from being as important as this thing, right?
True.
So that's kind of my struggle, is the ability to focus on. Maybe I would like to be better at focusing on and having placed importance on more than one thing at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, that, and I'd like to be better at speaking.
Here we are.
Hence why I am doing this.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the baby steps of this process.
Absolutely. All right, let's see.
Number 9.
Number 9. What's been the most challenging part of your life's journey?
Most challenging part. I would argue it would have to be social skills, because since I was a kid, there was a stage where I was very like flamboyant, not flamboyant, but like open, like very, like, as a kid is, right? Just like forward, right? You just, yes, do this. And then you're like very like excited and happy, just fucking doing kid stuff. Right? And then there's like a point where it's like, you realize when you start to mingle with other people, perhaps in settings that aren't ideal, that there's conflicts and things don't work out as well, and then you don't mesh, and like certain things where you ostracize yourself and things like that, where it would be best if you could kind of connect with that.
Right. Totally.
And not just like get overwhelmed.
Yeah. And there's a level of magic that comes with being a child, right?
I agree.
That we have to remember is life is so much different. And there's a point in your life where this magic fades, right? And you become one of reality.
Yeah.
And maybe that's some point where when you bring up something or say something to somebody, the consequences aren't as harsh. And then when you become an adult, that consequence could be far more harsh.
Yeah.
Like somebody disagreeing with something that you say.
Yeah.
And then you are thrust into this reality of not everybody likes you, not everybody's real, or not everybody's really, thinking the same way that you're thinking, and not everybody is excited about life anymore. And when you start to see that, sometimes people lose their excitement for life because they see that, well, this is how everybody else is, right? And so I think you kind of lose that forwardness of being a child when you are thrust into that kind of adult life.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's not that it's like a permanent challenge. It's just like in challenging times, I would say as a kid, there was like a wall that you walk into and you're like, you look up and you can't see the top of it. And then you decide to walk around the wall and then realize it's the fucking wall of China, and good luck.
Yeah.
And then you have to realize you have to somehow climb over this wall.
Yeah.
But also knowing that the wall was made by myself.
Yeah. Totally.
And that I can walk through it because it's an illusion.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, okay, well, why did I have social problems? Well, it's like, okay, well, let's say physically, there were things that people bullied you for. But it's like not taking that shit seriously. Right? And then, okay, well, if it was super, super challenging in that moment, it's like, okay, well, I really struggled. And then you kind of carry that forward and you keep struggling and you believe that what you do in this scenario is struggle.
Right.
Right? Because you've associated yourself with not being good at something. But as a kid, you really hold that towards like on yourself as something that you are rather than something that's happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then breaking through the belief that you are something that happened to you, and just rather than it being an event that you can look at and,
Right.
and kind of register as, oh, this is something that I can learn from, rather than, oh, let's say I failed this one thing. Well, now I'm a failure at this. Like, that's the biggest challenge
Right.
as a kid, I think, that I had, was believing that I myself am incapable because I was temporarily incapable in an event. Right. But I held that towards myself.
Right.
And then that was like one of the bigger things that I had to break. Right. Because I had to have so much belief in the opposition of it, that the belief in my past, to hold that on me, it couldn't last because I had to build myself over it.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Read the question again.
Yeah. What has been the most challenging part of your life's journey?
Okay. So I don't know if I have a most challenging part
Sure.
at this moment in time. That said, there was a couple different things. I would say as a child, the most challenging bit was being back and forth between divorced family. That was very challenging for me. And having a step parent that was to not completely fill the place, but the high levels of emotions that would come out of me when I felt like that person was trying to almost take the place of my father.
Yeah.
Which I still saw consistently and had a great relationship with, and didn't really understand the reasons when I was young why there needed to be a divorce or there needed to be a splitting, and why that it was my family that had to have that happen.
Yeah.
So that was difficult for me. That was a pretty tough thing for me to understand and get through. That said, that led to pieces like me going through depression and having lots of high levels of anxiety in many, many situations. So I would say, if I had to pick one, probably the battle for the last 2 years of just getting past and coping with high levels of depression and learning how to deal with that, and the hampering that put onto my life.
Yeah.
Essentially, this slow pace that it put me into, and the snail pace that I was running at, and my processing power was super low, and I was just like super not into anything, and just wanted to be on games and get the dopamine and play sports, and that was it.
Yeah.
Right. But until we started going through some of the things that we were going through recently, I was a very, very depressed and not happy person, and I was eating junk food and garbage all the time and just not taking care of myself, right? So that depression was the big one that I needed to get through.
Obviously it's up to you, but what would you say caused that? Or what would you think now in retrospect caused that?
Probably not taking care of myself the way I needed to at a young age. I was a cave dweller in my room, essentially.
Yeah.
I was always in my room playing games, and every time I was going over to a friend's house, we were eating shit food, macaroni and cheese all the time.
I remember that.
And, right? Like, it was just garbage. It was not good for me, which that there puts you into a bad mental state.
Yeah.
Right? And then on top of that, there was just the fact that I was very socially awkward. And I had my one friend group, but I very much struggled to make friends outside of that. And I didn't really have the option to just move and go to a new place, because I was to live with my mother for the week, and then I'd go to my dad's on the weekend. I couldn't just go to a Souk school or whatever. I couldn't change schools.
Yeah.
So yeah, that all kind of led up to me feeling just not happy with myself. Right. And so that the change that came in my early 20s was drastic and needed to happen because there had been many times where I thought of not existing, which is not a good way to think.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, that would have definitely been the most challenging thing for me so far, was just getting through depression and learning how to cope with it and not let that be the thing that guided me through my life.
Yeah, because it's almost like the way that I see depression is like you got a cloud lingering over your head of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like something around you could like have died and you get upset and depressed about it. Right? And then that is like an artifact that you're holding with you, but you're not giving it anywhere to go.
Right.
Right? Like, why am I sad? Is it because I'm lingering in all of these things that I've done in my past that I'm keeping with me? Like, yeah, this is still me. Or am I giving myself the freedom to start again?
Right.
And I think that giving yourself the freedom to start again is absolutely critical, because you have to say day one rather than one day.
Yeah.
Right. And that I heard from The Rock. And
The Rock.
That was amazing.
Yes.
And I was like, well, that's the perfect saying.
Yes. I'll start doing that one day.
Yeah.
Or today is day one.
Day one.
Right.
And we're doing it right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Because that is the catalyst. And you need a catalyst to shift you.
Yep.
Because if you don't shift yourself, you linger. Especially if you don't feel like you have the strength to pick yourself up. Well, then you're going to grab the first thing that's going to bring you up. And it's likely not going to be the thing that's going to bring you forward.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? Because those are not in the same direction.
Yeah.
Because dopamine is going to raise you.
Yeah.
But it's also going to pull you right back down as quick as it went up. Right? And that's not what you want.
Yeah.
Right?
As soon as you
In that
stop the
situation.
thing that gives you the dopamine, you crash.
Yeah. And then you only want more. Right? Perfect. Question 10.
Question 10.
If you had unlimited budget to start your own business, what would it be and why?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Unlimited's a big word.
Unlimited is a big word.
That is a really big word.
Wow. Holy. Unlimited money. You know, I find it fascinating how my brain, or I would say probably a lot of the human brain, just shuts down when you see the word unlimited or hear the word unlimited behind too
many options.
Yeah, too many options. There's like an infinite, right? Because I could just say I would start every business. I would hire every person that I needed to do anything, essentially, right?
Yeah.
I would hire accountants, lawyers, like
The
scientists,
whole-
biologists, like everything, physical fitness people, everybody to start any business in the world that I wanted at any time.
Yeah.
But
How about today's day and age?
I would want to stay away from social media, so I wouldn't worry about that. I would likely start just building places for people to live, and maybe I would learn. If I had that much budget, I would be able to learn anything that I wanted at that point in time, right? I would have infinite amount of time to learn whatever I needed. So maybe I would focus a lot of my energy into archery and jiu-jitsu. Maybe I would want to just do that and learn and become a black belt in jiu-jitsu as fast as possible and then start a gym, right? I can't give a specific thing that I would want to do.
Yeah.
Because there is so much that I enjoy, right? But I would the first thing I would be doing is investing in real estate. That's the first thing, because that is just money coming back and money, but infinite. So I wouldn't need that.
Yeah, but it's your own business.
It is. Yes, it's the own business. I would do videography.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do videography. That would be, if I was to had to pick a business that I would be able to put infinite money into, it would be videography, because I really did enjoy that for that 2-year period that I was doing that.
Yeah.
And things changed, and that's okay. But I still really do like the idea of it, and I like the idea of creating art in the form of film. There's so much that you can learn and do and create in the film industry, and there's emotions that you can put onto people and teach, and there's lessons that you can teach people. I'd probably get into videography, start my own film business, be a producer of films.
Yeah, and the first thing came to my mind is like Lord of the Rings Hero's Journey. It's like you're that's a piece of art that people learn through following the quest that they went on.
Yeah.
Right? And that's super valuable. But that's a great idea. Film business. Excellent.
Yes. Do you want me to read?
Sure.
All right. If you had unlimited budget to start your own business, what would it be and why?
I don't know how profitable it would be at the beginning. However, that's not the point because I have unlimited money. It would be some business that could have a philanthropic arm that's similar to what it supplies or provides service with. And what it would be in particular, I'm not sure. Because in this day and age, probably something to do with infrastructure, because there's getting to be more people, but also people are moving to other places that don't have the infrastructure to support the people, because the rules and ideologies of places change and people don't want to be in certain places. So you need to live somewhere, but there isn't enough places. Therefore, fucking shit hikes up prices,
right,
and nothing works very well.
Right.
So something to do with that, because that seems like it makes sense. And then likely, probably not current trends stuff, but it would have to include it based on the way that markets work and things like this. But probably something to do with technology, because technology is dope.
Yeah. And as we were talking here, or as you were talking there, I actually had like probably a bigger idea that I would come up with.
Yeah.
I guess it would be less of a business, but there would be a business aspect to it, because there would be the idea of protecting humanity. I would use this unlimited budget to essentially use or create a planetary defense system.
That's amazing.
So
like
if we
redirecting
have
asteroids and shit.
a Texas-sized meteor flying at us, I would find a way to redirect it. Or if we had a super volcano that was about to explode, I would find a way to not let that thing explode. Or if the sun was about to dwarf, I would find a way for us to leave the planet, or move. I guess not move the planet, but leave the planet.
Yeah.
Whatever. That would be the business that I would probably want to pursue if I was unlimited budget.
Yeah. Totally. That sounds way cooler.
and then after that, because at that point we would be spacefaring, I would seek to find out what happened at the beginning of the cosmos before everything, because nothing. We're not going to get back into that.
Yeah. I mean, that's fascinating.
I love space.
Yeah, space is amazing.
Right. And that's something that I would definitely want to pursue if I could.
Yeah. And I don't know if, like, even if it had infinite money, I don't feel like I would want, okay, maybe not, but like the political side of things, like getting in the way of like countries and other stuff like that. Like, it's pretty easy if you have unlimited money. However, conflict is not ideal.
No.
So how can you smooth out conflict while being a businessman? I think that would also be more ideal.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than how can I warp society to make me money? I think that's pathetic. But it gives you power and money, and that's what people want more than to be pathetic. Yeah. So, yeah. But given the unlimited budget, it would probably be balancing things out.
Yeah.
Not in the way that I would try to take away from others, but rather raise up certain people's places, like where homelessness is just terrible.
Yeah.
Right? And certain locations where you could really make a difference. I think that would be a good place to start.
Totally. So you take care of the people on the surface, and I'd take care of everything outside.
Yeah.
Love it.
But it would also be, it'd have to be philosophical and like have people be like thinking and like enjoying their time and learning something in the process, because
Absolutely.
why else would you do it?
Absolutely. But that's the thing is, the problem with a lot of the world's issues is religion. And the fact that there's all of these differing religions that, you know, all really mean and say the same things.
Yes.
Just have different names.
Which I find hilarious.
I think that is the funniest thing in the world, right? Like, but you'd have to find a way to smooth that out, right? Smooth out.
Well, I wouldn't touch that with a
debate.
10-foot pole.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is, if you want to smooth it out, you know, we have to find a way to make these people meld and understand each other, instead of it just being like, well, your Allah is not our God, so you suck. And
Okay.
right.
Okay, well, let's say I wouldn't approach it that way by
Obviously
saying yes
not.
or no, because that generates conflict, because that means one person's right, one person is not right. However, I do think there is benefit in just simple allowing yourself to not get caught in a rut with some specific ideology, but to keep it experiential and experimental, right? But never causing coming to too many conclusions with what you cannot prove or know absolutely,
Right.
which is like virtually nothing. So that basically leaves that wide right open, but it's making that known, because as much as someone can believe in something and it gives them power because they have a wall behind them and they can lean on it, it's also a wall that you can't see through. Right? So you just accept and take for granted potentially what you already know, that you're blinding yourself by ideology. And then most people realize that when their ideology shifts, their reality shifts, aka what they were thinking before is not how it was.
Right.
And then now they need to recalibrate.
Yeah.
So it's just allowing everyone to kind of keep that more open.
Right.
So they don't have to keep fucking running into walls all the time.
Yeah.
But it's way harder said than done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was our 5 questions. That was our 5 questions, 6 to 10.
Yeah.
Do we want to do a special 11th one with our last couple minutes here?
Yeah, let's come up with you come up with a question and then I'll come up with a question.
Okay. And we'll take a quick brief pause at this point that I am talking, and we can cut it as we think.
And then think for a minute.
Yeah.
Actually, how about this? I'll start.
Okay.
If you were 5 years, or let's say 10 years in the future, where would you think you are?
On my current trajectory, I will have at least 5 duplexes under my name, and I'll be working as an excavator operator in camp work, making into the 6 figures.
In 10 years?
In 10 years, yeah.
Okay.
In 10 years, yeah. I'll be in 6-figure territory. That said, if I can, it's all multiplicative, right? Once you get a certain house, you can mortgage that house, buy another house, multiples, right? So if you have 5 houses, you can do that. You have 10, right? So
yeah,
it's all going to be multiplicative. But that's the trajectory that I have, is to be essentially able to stop working as an excavator operator in 10 years and be able to be financially free based on the rentals that I'm renting out and having those pay my mortgages, but I'll still be working because I like to work. So
yeah. And then obviously the work would be what you would want to do, which ideally this gives you a platform.
Yes. So the platform within that 10 years, from the financial freedom that I've acquired through my investments and through my work, would be that I would be able to be doing jiu-jitsu as much as I want, or any martial art. We'd be able to do our chats and continue those out, travel wherever I want, and not have it be a money problem, a hamper at any time, and be living on my happy little acreage in the forest somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the 10-year plan.
Excellent.
How about you?
Oh, we're fucking reflecting me.
Yeah, well, let's reflect it, and then I'll give you one.
Okay. Where would I be in 10 years? 10 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot even fathom where I would be in 10 years. However, hopefully taking a few ayahuasca trips. Whatever that changes in my brain, I don't know. And if that changes my trajectory, that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally still working on a level of physical mastery. So getting more health, maintaining a healthy body, getting slightly more jacked, and preventing as much injury as I can, as on top of potentially remedying. And then mentally, it would be ideally more able to just actuate on whatever I feel necessary in the moment and just do, while still being open to feel and not get the two contorted. And then like, that's kind of my body, but in like where I would be in reality, ideally, creating, or rather having, a well-functioning business that people enjoy being at, because that's important. Because if you want to do something, you'll actually enjoy your time. So making something that someone wants to do, and then having that be successful, as well as trying to spread that out, right? And having, through the podcast potentially, and potentially other avenues, bringing, whether it's just awareness of certain topics or different things and different thoughts and different ideas, that people can learn something that they want to know while also moving forward in their own way. And then having that ripple effect scatter across and have a profound boon to society.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my goal.
That's your 10-year goal. I love it. I love it. Okay. Let me see. If you were given the opportunity to become a professional in any given field that isn't the one that you are currently, like the one that you're currently desiring to follow.
Sure.
And you could go and follow
Musician.
any professional, like let's just say this is the example. If you were given the opportunity to work under Gordon Ramsay as a chef, would you take it, and what would you do with the best of the best in that field, with unlimited learning time?
Music is gnarly. But I think it would have to be music, because it, in my mind, applies to basically everything. There's patience, there's rhythm, there's resonance, like there's emotion. There's so many things baked into music that it fucking makes your soul dance, bro. So it would have to be something to do with that. If I had unlimited time and I could be with the best people, and just like I mentioned, a room with like all the instruments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just going ham.
Yeah.
That'd be epic.
Awesome.
Because not only would it exercise your mind, because you're not only taking the creative aspect of your mind, but also the logical part. And then the in-between is like the geometry. Like we were mentioning before, like the connectivity between subjects that are tangent, but not necessarily connected. Yeah. And I think music is that bridge, because within it is fractals and geometry and math and like octaves and sequences that seem technical, but when played in reality, it's like some fucking etheric, like invisible sound that's just like touching people's souls.
Yeah. It's just a vibrational frequency that
like it goes beyond you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because music is such a powerful thing in culture.
Yeah. Absolutely. If I could do anything and work under anybody to master something, I would probably want to master jujitsu. Yes. That said, I'm also, as I've said a few times, very fascinated by space.
True.
I would want to learn fucking everything I can about space.
Dude.
And see all of the crazy cool things that happen in space that we don't have any comprehension of.
Be an apprentice to an alien.
Yeah, because at this point, the reason I didn't just jump straight into jiu-jitsu was because I'm practicing it. I'm doing it now, right? Yeah. And I'm not working under the greatest of great masters in the world, but I would obviously do that. But space is so fascinating and vast. And there is an endless amount of it and things to learn and see, that things that we don't even have a comprehension of that we could see in space that we would never be able to see on our planet, right? I would want to see all of it. It'd be amazing.
I'm just imagining like crazy advanced alien race that you could communicate both ways with and just be like a disciple and learn space and then travel space.
Totally.
That
right?
Sounds like a great
right?
time.
Just some alien that has the ability to bring me around space and show me all the cool shit and teach me all about it.
Yeah.
I would totally do that.
That'd be legit.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for this chat. Thanks for tuning in. And here's a question to all of you. Let's go back to number 10. Anybody listening, if you had unlimited budget to start your own business, what would it be and why? Feel free to leave that in the comments or come check us out on our Discord in the description and just tell us in person. That'd be great. Thanks much. Bye.
Take care.